ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Xbox the Box and Xbox podcast. My name is Potato, and I'm with my good friend Alice. How you doing, Alice?
Hi, my pronouns are she, they, and we got another podcast episode, which we're not planning to do this like every week, but given the recent news from like the Xbox podcast episodes, I thought we probably have to fling out this episode. And this time it's like, we thought that Xbox is dying, but then there's a reverso card from Uno, because there's actually more games from Xbox compared to PlayStation and Switch. And
that's very true.
I saw the notes, and it looks like it's going to be quite a bumper this time around. So,
we got a lot to cover. Before we get into the news, though, I just want to announce that out of in Xbox the Box, I am now going third party. I'm going to be the third party host. You'll be able to access me from every other podcast. I will no longer be exclusive to this one podcast. It's because I've been here for over a year and I'm the least interested of the two hosts, so they're going to experiment by sending me out. Alex is going to stay first party, though.
Not really. I'm more of a skeptic, so I'm not into like lots of games. So if anyone's like not going to cover games that much, it will be me. So
I'm just kidding.
Pretty much, but then I think we're pretty much like third party, because last episode we appeared in the PS3 Trust podcast.
We did, yeah.
So therefore, we just like did a fantasy critic, which means we're now popping up on like other podcasts. But then again, the PS3 Trust guys quite often been very good guests on the podcast. So this is like really good.
Bit of collaboration. Is just like the real life Xbox and PlayStation are crossing over a lot more recently. So it's very interesting. So we're going to start off the podcast how we always started off with what we've been playing. Yeah. Do. So I've been playing 3 games. I don't know if I should go. I'll just quickly go through them.
Yeah, go ahead.
That's okay. I've been playing Persona 3 Reload, a game where you shoot yourself in the head to get powers, which is really weird, but it's a really fun game.
Old as sin.
I haven't played the originals, but the new one I'm really enjoyed it. I really enjoyed it so far. It's a bit weird that like it's kind of like got the Persona 5 like boppy, like high active music and all that, and it's like really dark story. But I'm loving it so far. I'm really, really enjoying it. It's just unlike Persona 5 where you're the Phantom Thieves. This one is you go into Tartarus, which is a giant building that's sprung up overnight, and it only appears in the dark hour, which is after midnight and before 1 o'clock. It's like a magical hour that only certain people experience, and there's a lot of death and creepy stuff. But it's cool. I'm really enjoying it. Probably my game of the year so far. I know we're already in February, but so far I'm loving it. I've also I've finally come to the realization that my laptop plays games. So I've been playing Minecraft on my laptop.
Very nice.
I've got my old Xbox controller. Now that's my main controller for my laptop.
Which one?
I'm really tempted to... my green one.
That. I know what you mean.
So ever since I got the Starfield one, this is my main controller for Xbox, but the one I used to use for my Xbox is now the one I use for my PC. So that's going to be my PC controller. Saying that, I am really tempted to buy a ROG Ally. I might buy one by the next episode. We don't know. I really, really, really want to get one. I keep looking at it. I'm just like, ooh, my precious. The only thing that's put me off is that there might be a Switch 2 this year, but the rumours are it's actually going to be next year. And also, there's a rumour that Xbox might be revealing their handheld console. So if I bought a ROG Ally and then they go, oh, the next Xbox is a handheld, I'll be like, well, I've just wasted my money, because that's essentially what I bought the ROG Ally for. I want to play my Xbox games on the move. I'm excited.
Honestly, if I was looking for something like that, then I'm more likely to get a Steam Deck, But the only trouble is that you have to stream the Xbox games on the Steam Deck, whereas
there's a slider on it.
the Ally is pretty much the one that lets you install and play Xbox games on it. So
yeah, so if you're a massive Game Pass user like I am, then the one to get is a ROG Ally. Also, it's more powerful than a Steam Deck. But if you want something that's more streamlined, and if you only play Steam games on your PC, then yeah, obviously Steam Deck makes more sense. I'm in an hour in between the two as well. I've been doing my research, and I think the ROG Ally is the one I will go for. But I shouldn't. I don't know if I want to buy it or not. I've just got a gaming laptop, and I've barely played that. So do I buy another device to play PC games? I don't know. But yeah, I've been playing Minecraft on my PC. That's like the only game I've really been playing on it. I've been trying to install Starfield, but it's still like over 100 odd gigs. It's taking forever to install on my PC.
yeah, first world problems, really.
First, yeah. And then the only other game I've been playing is I've become a bit of a traitor and I've jumped to the other side. I played a little of Helldivers 2.
That's fine because it's on I was on PS5.
I've been playing the PS5 version, yeah, with the PS We Trust guys. And it's been fun. The servers are a bit jammed. They keep crashing all the time. Apart from that, it's a lot of fun.
You know, this is probably obviously like going to be another Street Fighter 6 because last time you mentioned that I got Street Fighter 6 on the PS5 and one of them said like Cert. But
I never ended up playing it with them. Played it with me then.
How's Helldivers 2? Because I heard it's like a bit of a not so expensive game, but it's like tons of fun.
It is a lot of fun. It's one of my favourite PlayStation games, and I'm hoping it'll come to Xbox eventually. That's the rumor that there's a petition online of people trying to get it to come to Xbox. It's a third-person action game. It reminds me a lot of playing Horde mode on Gears. That's what it kind of takes me back to, like those memories of doing that on Xbox 360 with all my friends.
Because original Helldivers came to the PS3, isn't it?
Yes. I think it's a PS4 game, or it might be a PS3 game. And it was a twin stick shooter, whereas this is now a third person shooter. So it's all third person. So it's like an action game. And it's 4-player co-op. It's essentially procedural generated maps with you got to kill big bugs. And it's overly patriotic and stuff. It's hilarious. It's like Starship Troopers. Yeah. It's like, you have a big cup of liberty and stuff like that. It's very stupid, but it's really silly and goofy, but it's fun. I would love to see a Halo take on this, like an ODST version of this would be wicked.
Well, actually, there's a bit of a rumor or some kind of leaks that suggests that, I think according to someone who tweeted on Twitter, they said like they might be looking at they're going to have lots of ideas, and then 343 just straight off rejected them. And one of them is the Helldivers style ODST game. So, and that's been talked about on like YouTube. So it's just like, yeah, I mean, we were quite close to having a Helldivers version of like Halo. So that's cool.
I mean, the ODST are the OG Helldivers, aren't they? That's like they have the ODST pods and they drop.
Yes.
And, if you ever played ODST, it's like a very similar plot and stuff, apart from obviously it's not all like very patriotic and stuff. We love it. ODSTs are such a cool part of the Halo universe, and it's a shame they've only got one game out of them. I would love to see more. Fingers crossed that'll happen eventually. So that's all I've been playing. I've been playing, as I said, Persona 5 Reload, Minecraft, and Helldivers 2.
Very nice.
And I think I'm frozen. Oh, no, I'm back.
I can still see
so what have you been playing?
Yeah, so what I've been playing is that, well, I was going to like read more, but the COVID struck, and I think I've been with it for about 2 weeks, but I should be coming out of it just about now. Just a very teeny faint of like a T line, but it should be better by tomorrow, Friday. But yeah, while I was like ill, I just couldn't like do a lot much and just watch stuff. But when I was getting a bit better, it's just I tried out new games like Tomb Raider Remastered.
Ooh.
The first 3 Tomb Raider games, which I didn't play as much as I hoped I would, but I played a bit of Tomb Raider 1 and I played like Tomb Raider 3 and beaten those first levels. But most of the time I spent like going exploring Lara's home, which is supposed to be a tutorial level, but in the later games it's just like it's more open world and you just like explore and discover all those secrets. So I did things like putting the butler Winston into the freezer. Yeah. And I did the assault course, and I even found a secret, which is I think it was the quad bike mini game where you can just like there's used to be a gun and maze that's in the Tomb Raider 2 version, but in Tomb Raider 3 it's like replaced with the a quad bike sections, and that's where you get like to have the best time of it. But yeah, I like the controls, been using tank controls, and that's the way the game's played. But you can also like use modern controls with it. But I'm more of a purist and like say, I'm sticking with the tank controls. And yeah, I think it's definitely a lot of fun, and it's definitely more reasons to like play on the Switch. So yeah.
And also, if you're interested in seeing more of Tomb Raider, we have our first 13 minutes of it that we've put up on the channel
First 10
recently.
minutes.
Yeah, so you get to see Alice climbing some rocks and stuff and doing flips, and you flip.
Well, mind you, it's in Tomb Raider 3 where I have the most fond childhood memories of it. Mm-hmm. But it's also like the hardest of the 3 games because of the level design. And it took a lot of things to get used to. But ever since we did some recording, it's just like I found out to get on the zip line, and it takes me to the takes me throughout the entire area, and then it takes a little bit of ingenuity to get through everything, and then you just find the key and just get into the whole temple. But that's sort of the furthest I got with like Tomb Raider 2. I certainly enjoyed playing those games when I was a kid, but it's such a long time ago that I just felt going back to it just gives me all the nostalgia from the late 90s, so it's really good.
I never really played them that much when I was a kid because I was more of a Nintendo boy, but I still have nostalgia for them.
You mean Nintendo boy?
And yeah, I'm a Nintendo boy. Whatever. I'm a Game Boy.
Ding.
Yeah. So, is there anything else you've been playing?
I've also been playing Halo Infinite, which I gain weekly challenges. Now,
me too.
I haven't subscribed to any of the Microsoft services, but because Halo Infinite is like free to play, I can still play multiplayer. But that's the only multiplayer game that I've been playing so far, because otherwise I would have been playing on the PC. But I just keep going back to it, and I just keep aiming to get the weekly challenges done. Because you get helmets from the Halo TV show. Like, if you missed out on the first 2 weeks, if you logged in during any of those times, you get free visors. And if you get all the weekly challenges done, you get like I think it's Wiz and K helmets. They look good and pretty similar to Wayfinder. But there's a third helmet which you can currently get on the 4th week of the game, whereas last week you get a Drone Mark IV coating, which is like Master Chief's coating that only has red accents on it. But the shop is like not a lot of changes there. It's just like same shit, and keeps dealing with like weekly and daily offers. And they got the year 1 championship bundles back, but only 5 of them came over because the other teams, there's things like critting or as bankruptcy or some sort like that affected them. So you only get one of those though. But apart from that, it's just like more firefights, more gameplay, and we could see modes in the future, but I think, as far as I know, that 343 is still dialing back on its development, so it could be like sunsetting before they get to unveil a new Halo game.
Shame. Yeah, so, we play a bit of Husky Raids and stuff.
Husky Raids amazing. Yeah. Still
That's
sucks
why I really played this with Husky Raids.
Yeah, it still sucks there's no Griff Ball, and we did discuss about it in the video, which you can also find on the channel.
Yeah. Also, if I keep looking down, it's because I got my show notes on my phone. It's not because I'm falling asleep. Because I keep looking at myself on the screen. I'm like, "Oh, you look tired." It's like, no, I'm looking at my phone notes.
Yeah,
I swear. So shall we crack on with the news?
Yep. And Koyabuzi, the news.
So we literally just finished watching the Nintendo Direct before we recorded this podcast, and it was quite interesting. As I put in the show notes, Xbox and Nintendo sitting in a tree, KISSING. They seem to be in love with each other, Nintendo and Xbox, or at least Xbox seems to be in love with Nintendo, and Nintendo's not really reciprocating.
Sounds like an overstatement to me.
We got Grounded, Pentiment, and all the rare back catalogue going to Nintendo. Well, not all the rare back catalogue,
because
a lot of rare games coming to Nintendo Switch.
So what's happened is that we could have Banjo-Kazooie as well as GoldenEye on the Nintendo Switch Online, because Nintendo Switch Online provides emulation. Like, if you get an ordinary subscription, you get like the Game Boy, Super Nintendo, and NES games. So you got like two NES games, which is Pro AM, which is like Walkable Racing, but for the NES, and you get Snake and Rattle and Roll, which is like Kirby's Dream Course on the NES. But,
I love Kirby's Dream Course, yeah.
But what's really exciting is that for the Super Nintendo one, you get Killer Instinct and Battletoads, two huge franchises. Whether they're being PS3 Trust guys, hoping for the Killer Instinct to come to the PlayStation, that's the closest they ever get, which is Killer Instinct on like a Switch Online. And now you also got Battletoads, and surprisingly, it's the Battle Maniacs, which is like a semi-sequel to Battletoads on the NES. Too bad we didn't get the NES or the Mega Drive versions, because these ones are a blast. But the Battle Maniacs is like the one with the fancier graphics. Funny enough, this is actually one of the earliest games I've played as a kid. I used to go to my cousins and like play on the Super Nintendo, and that is definitely one of the games. And this one is like pretty fun, but I think it's like a bit difficult. But I'm definitely like checking out tonight and have a bit more fun with it.
Battletoads for Wii? Do you have Battletoads for Wii? That was like a joke they used to always, people used to prank call the game shop saying, do you have Battletoads for Wii? And they're like, no, still calling.
Well, at least you do get them on the Xbox, so
yeah, we have Battletoads.
On Xbox One.
We seem to be giving it out to Nintendo, putting it out for Nintendo. Grounded is coming to Switch, which is one of our games of the year last year.
Well, we did it. Pentiment is one of the rumored games, and yeah, it's finally confirmed. But I think I did wonder that Grounded's coming over, but I thought, nah, probably unlikely to come over, because they probably need something bigger to come to Switch or PlayStation. And Grounded is actually coming to the Switch, and I think Switch is a really fantastic platform, especially for the kid friendliness of the game.
Yeah.
But funny enough, both of these games are actually made by Obsidian, so that kind of gives some thoughts to what it could be.
I mean, so as you said, Grounded is perfect for the kids and stuff. I mean, like, the other big Xbox game that's on Nintendo Switch is Minecraft, and Grounded is a very similar vein. It's a sort of action survival game which is kid friendly. The spiders are pretty terrifying, but you can turn that off with Arachnophobia Road. Yeah, I think it's a good fit for it. It fits really well with the Switch, and I think it's a good fit, and I definitely think it's worth buying. If you're a Nintendo fan and you've never played Grounded, check it out. We really recommend it. It's a really good game. Pentiment, on the other hand, it got really good reviews, but I don't think either of us have played it. We've heard it's good, though. If you want to try it, go ahead, but neither of us I haven't played anyway. Have you played it?
I haven't tried it out.
No.
So I kind of missed out on this one. So I don't know how it's like on Switch, but given there's a lot more games like Penny's Big Breakaway, and even with the Star Wars Battlefront. So I think there's a bunch of Switch games that's going to come out today. So, but I don't know. It just depends. I mean, if you really want to like say, well, I'm going to support the Xbox releasing games on the PlayStation, then go to the eShop, buy Grounded and Pentiment, make our day.
And if you don't want Xbox to go third party, don't buy these games. Really want. But I would love to play Grounded on on a Switch. As I said, I think I get a wrong ally, so I could play grounded on one of those. But if I don't end again, I can always get grounded on my Switch. That'd be fun to play on the move.
Do you still have the classic Switch?
I still have the original Switch, yeah, the day one Switch.
I got an OLED Switch, and to be honest, the OLED display is like so good. I've been playing Gladius 2 on it through the arcade collection on the Switch. But yeah, the OLED is brilliant, and it just makes me want like have an OLED TV in the future. But these things are still expensive. Oh.
Yeah, very expensive. I know. And I'm also like, the OLED Steam Deck's just come out as well. It's like, OLED looks so good. So yeah, that was the Nintendo Direct, really. And so I wanted to bring up the news that Sony seems to be in a bit of a bad place at the moment. Just before this massive Xbox Future podcast, where Xbox was revealing if it's going third party or not, Sony just went, we're making more games. They're going to release some more games on PC and mobile, and they're going more third party. Essentially, they kind of announced it before the Xbox goods, essentially. And then they lost 10 billion in stock. They've had a bit of a bad week, Sony.
Oh, so that's what caused. So the news kind of caused it. Blimey.
I think so, yeah.
And
also the fact they announced that they're not having any big releases for 2024.
That's a shame.
Big first party. So there's not going to be any first party. So you still got Final Fantasy Rebirth if you're a Sony fan, and Stellar Blade and some third party stuff, but there's no first party games coming out on PS5 this year.
No.
Which is kind of crazy. It's a quiet year.
Well, to be honest, I have a fondness for Sony franchises, but I think it's just becoming less common now, and now you're just seeing like editions of like some popular franchises you see in the late stage of a PlayStation 4. Like Video Game Donkey released a video, and it's just like, they're showing off like how first Last of Us remasters are like similar to the originals, the God of War Ragnarok, and there's even like Spider-Man 2 being similar to the original. And I think it's just pretty much like cashing in on those things. And yet you just have things like, Ratchet & Clank Rifts Apart came out on the PlayStation 5, but we didn't see a lot of franchises like the Jack of Daxter, Killzone, Wipeout, and pretty much a lot of the franchises get shaded. But it's just crazy. But what I would love to see is them porting a lot of those games, especially they came on the PlayStation 2 and PlayStation 3 over to PC. So I think that would be very nice.
Hellblade 2 isn't out yet, but the rumor is it's about it's confirmed it's going to be about 8 or 9 hours long. That's what I feel like Sony need to do. But they're releasing games like The Last of Us Part 2 that's about 700 hours long, and it just keeps going and it just never ends. They need to make them more concise games and not bloated. A lot of their games are very bloated, their first-party, third-person adventure games. I think if The Last of Us 2 was 8 to 9 hours long, I think I would have preferred it, to be honest, because I feel like the first half of the game I really enjoyed. And I think that's what they need to do to cut down on their budgets. The prices of games are getting too expensive for them to develop, so they need to find new ways to make money. So I think if they make the games smaller, it would be better for everyone, because no one likes the bloat anyway. It's bloody annoying.
Well, I think it's all part of a bubble. Like, I think the real problem with any other game, which Penguins Zero recently pointed out with, like, he brought up about, was it the one game that the Suicide Squad live service game is like getting bombed.
Oh god, yeah.
And then like Skull and Crossbones is touted as a quad A game, but it's already like beta players not happy with it. And I think it just tells about the state of gaming, that the expectations and how much they need to deliver for those games are getting so ridiculously high that you're just going to end up with pretty games that are not very good and end up with loads of bugs. So I just feel like there's a lot of pressure on like not just Sony, but also Microsoft as well, because Microsoft, they're limiting themselves to 4 first-party franchises every year. And now Sony is just like, no major franchises this year. So But
Well, they're not limiting themselves to four because there's more than four coming out this year anyway. We'll discuss that later on.
Yeah,
But
but yeah, speaking of like Sony going for the different platforms, I think they were kind of a bit vague when they mentioned about other platforms too, because they didn't mention whether the PlayStation games are coming over to like the Switch or Xbox, but it sounds as if they're likely to bring those over to mobile and PC. But then I would love to see classic PlayStation 2 games coming over to PC, mobile, and even better if they bring it to Switch. But it depends on like how much the Sony doesn't like to bring them out too much.
I mean, the thing is that they've just released Helldivers 2, and that was day and date PC and PS5, and that is their most successful PC game ever. So if they want to make money from PC, they should follow their own example and release stuff day one on PC.
That's what they did That's what they did with Ratchet and Clank. They did it with Horizon. They did it with God of War, and they even did it with like Spider-Man.
Later, yeah.
So
they released them like a year or two later, and they didn't sell as well. I think if they did it day and date with PS5 launch, they would have sold it better. I think personally, maybe we won't know for sure, but it's interesting.
Bear in mind that Microsoft has already did this strategy where they have PC and Xbox on the same day, and that they have been doing it for their Xbox exclusives, starting with Gears of War 4 or 5, and they just did it with Forza, Halo Infinite, and...
Well, yeah, they do it with every game now, yeah. You get double... they said it in the podcast, you get double entitlements. You have it if you buy a game on Xbox, you also own it on PC, which is pretty cool. I think Sony is in a bit of a transition here, and a bit of a. I feel like the third person action adventure cinematic games are going to be going out. Going to be slowly being phased out of Sony. I'm going to steal a phrase from someone a YouTuber, Alex. What I want from Sony is make Sony weird again. Make PlayStation weird again. I want the Parappa and the Rappers. I want the Ape Escapes. I want Siphon Filter. I want SOCOM. I want different variety of games.
And Dog's Life.
Yeah, exactly. Just they pigeonhole themselves into a third-person action adventure cinematic. Like they're basically the HBO of video games. That's what they've become. They need to branch out and start making some more like inventive and interesting games. More Helldivers. We want more Helldivers.
I just think Sony needs to be less precious when it comes to games, because especially like they're very protective of their properties. So I think it's probably better for them to just like take more risks and bring them to other platforms. I mean, if Microsoft's already like done by releasing games to other systems, why not Sony? Why not allow more players to revisit those games again? But anyway, on the same kind of news, that with those news coming out, it's quite likely that the PlayStation system might get worse and it becomes less relevant, which could see them like moving towards PC and mobile. So, and the same could actually happen for Xbox too. But then we'll discuss more of it in the topic of the week. So,
yeah, I'm also going to say, like, if Sony just went, Gravity Rush, that's coming to Xbox, or they went, Concrete Genie, that's coming to Xbox, or like, one of the games that didn't sell super well, like, you think people are going to go, oh, Concrete Genie's coming to Xbox, I'm not buying a PS5 now, like, you know what I mean? Like, that, like, they can experiment with those type of stuff, like what Xbox is doing. They don't have, like, it doesn't have to be the Spider-Mans and the God of Wars that they bring over day one. Anyway, yeah, I'd be interested. I'm interested to see what's happening with Sony, because even though they're doing really well with PS5, they said it's not hitting their targets that they had, and basically, essentially, unless it sells as well as the PS2, they're in trouble. And no console sells as well as the PS2. That was like an anomaly, Yeah, it's a weird one. It's a weird one for sure.
Here's a weird thing, though. PS5 is, the PS5 disc-based one, and it's a slim version. At the moment, you can buy it for £400. So they're probably like trying to bring out those systems out. But then it just makes me really interested to get it. But then I thought, I don't want to keep having another game system of some sort. I mean, I already got plenty of games on my Switch. I got plenty of the games in the backlog, and I got BioShock Remastered to my catalogue.
Yeah.
And there's plenty of things for me to do. So I don't know. I mean, I don't know why.
This sounds like a fanboy. It sounds like me being a fanboy, but believe me, honestly, I own a PS5 and I kind of regret buying it. It's not really worth the money at the moment. I mean, you watched that Donkey video, didn't you? Like,
yes.
Literally every game is a remake or a remaster, or you can play it on PS4. The only games that are like exclusive to PS5 are like Returnal, but that's on PC as well. But Returnal, Ratchet and Clank, and Spider-Man 2. The rest you can play on PS4.
So,
I believe.
Do you think
I don't think it's worth the money, honestly. Personally, I don't. But and then my friend goes, "Oh, I'll buy your PlayStation off you for £100." It's like, well, I'm not selling it for £100.
No
That's what
way.
my friend said because I said I said, "Oh, I don't want it anymore, really." And he goes, I'll buy it off you for £100. So, well, I'm not that stupid. Jesus.
What's wrong with paying 4 times the price for Dixon's or Curry's? Come on, don't be lazy and just buy a brand new, fresh PlayStation 5 for the players.
I honestly don't think it's worth the money, and I know that sounds like a fanboy thing to say, but it's literally true. I personally think the Xbox is worth the money because of Game Pass, but if it wasn't for Game Pass, then I'd be probably saying the same thing. But that's just me.
I think what I could do is I might get a DualSense controller and like use it for, say, PC or try to work it with Bluetooth. So I think it will be quite a bit of a therapy. Like, I just fancy the PlayStation 5. Oh, never mind, I got it. By the way, I just got the DualSense 4 still, which is the classic PlayStation 1 edition. And I still have that for playing Minecraft on, so yay.
Again, though, it sounds like a fanboy again. I prefer the Xbox controller to the PlayStation controller. I was already saying it when I was playing Helldivers. I was like, I wish I could play this on my Xbox controller.
Well, you can get it because if you can get adapters for the PlayStation 5, you can like hook up a PlayStation Xbox controller with it.
I know that's personal taste, by the way. Before anyone has a go at me, it's like my personal taste. I prefer the Xbox controller, but if you would prefer the PlayStation controller, that's cool. I don't personally, though. But there you go. I mean, the best games on PS5 are Returnal, Death Stranding, God of War. You can get them all on PC. So there you go. Or PS4. So don't bother buying a PS5. I honestly don't think it's worth it. The only game I really enjoyed on there is Spider-Man 2, but I literally beat that in like a week, and then I have it's essentially just collecting dust now. I'll never go back to it. So pointless. Honestly,
it's just like watching a movie and then that's it, done with the Blu-ray.
Yeah, pretty much. It was a fun experience. I got the platinum on it, but it was really quick. It was very fast food. It felt like I was going to get a McDonald's. It didn't really feel like a fulfilling experience. Just like, it was nice for a moment, but as soon as you're done, you're like, oh, well, I'll move on to the next thing now. But that's just me. Speaking of next generation, the Switch 2 might not be coming for another year. The rumor was it was coming this year, but then there's leakers and people and insiders all saying that it's actually probably coming out next year now in 2025, which means that Sony have said that they're not releasing anything this year, and Nintendo are they're going to release everything with the new console next year as well. So 2024 might be quite a barren year, apart from the Xbox releasing releasing games.
That's interesting because 2 years ago, there's nothing on like for Xbox on autumn 2022 unless you look at the indie titles, because you get like Pentiment and Grounded.
Ironically.
And then last year, it's like you just got Starfield and Forza, and that's it for the rest of the year. But we got
Minecraft. You got quite a few games last year, and then Redfall, which we don't count.
But this year we're gonna get games like Hellblade 2. We got Indiana Jones and also Avowed. So hopefully these games will definitely get more people into Xbox, and that will be great. But funny enough,
Hope
like
so.
2 weeks ago, we were being like really scared shitless about like Xbox games are coming over to other systems. And yeah, it is confirmed, but only 4 titles are coming over to other platforms. But we're now getting 10 exclusives, and it appears as if we're still getting day one exclusives for the Game Pass. And that's the other bit of news that, according to the official podcast, Phil Spencer said that you still get games that are coming to Game Pass on day one.
Yeah, I mean that's going to be our topic of the show, which we'll get further into later on in the episode. But yeah, also since that podcast came out, Phil has done an interview saying that Call of Duty should be coming to Game Pass day one as long as everything goes to plan. So that's awesome. I've kind of fallen off Call of Duty ever since Black Ops 1 or 2. Black Ops 1 was the last Call of Duty I played, which is like 10 years ago. So I'm actually excited to try and play some Call of Duty if it's coming to Game Pass. How about you? Are you interested in playing Call of Duty if it comes to Game Pass this year?
Yeah, I think if they released a back catalog of Call of Duty games, I would be more interested to download them and not have to buy full price for these games, because they still hasn't been like brought down in price and expect you to pay the games,
cool.
Which makes me regret like missing out on the sales for them. But I think once they like bring out Activision games back, then maybe it's a good time to be the Game Pass Ultimate subscriber, because you have more choices there. But it just begs me the question, like, what's it going to be like for Game Pass Core if Activision games come to the back catalogue? Or is it going to be exclusive to those on Ultimate?
I'm not sure. Maybe you'll get one Call of Duty game in Core, and then like the rest will be in Ultimate. I don't know. Be interesting, wouldn't it? It'd be interesting if you just put. I mean, that's what they should do. They should put Modern Warfare 1 on or Black Ops 1 on Core, so they literally everyone would just play that online. That'd be sick. I'd be totally down for that. I'd be totally into that. Yeah, as I said, I fell off the Call of Duty franchise in a big way, but I know it's a big deal. It's a big deal for Xbox. When Xbox was like the leader, when Xbox 360 was dominant, Call of Duty was not a small part of that. That was a big part of why Xbox 360 was so dominant. Having Halo 3 and Call of Duty is like your main flagship shooters on your console. That really sold systems. And the PS3 was awful for shooters because the controllers were designed for them in mind. But then ever since Call of Duty moved over to the PS4, Xbox has kind of fallen down the pecking order a little bit. So hopefully this is going to help Xbox get back into the game.
Yes.
For sure. And it should definitely be a subscription mover as well. I think a lot of people who've never even heard of Game Pass will probably be subscribing to it for Call of Duty when it comes out, if they promote it right.
You know, I think we've just gone a little bit pessimistic and negative at the beginning of the year, but I'm sure the rest of the year is going to be much better, because it looks like we're going to get more for Xbox, and that's a positive thing to say. So let's keep it going. Hopium.
Yeah, so shall we? Hopium. So shall we move on to our topic of the show? Sort of.
So the topic of the show is...
We have a topic of the show inside the topic of the show, but this is the topic of the... This is the outer shell of the topic of the show, which is the Xbox Future Podcast.
I just put it as Xbox. More exclusives.
Which is the... that's... Well, we'll just briefly cover the podcast, and then the main topic is the main exclusive. So we already discussed it. 4 games are coming to Switch or PS5. We already know 2 of them, Grounded and Pentiment, which were announced today.
Yeah, that's right. Announced during the recording, so that's cool.
Not Indiana Jones or Starfield. Woohoo! They are staying exclusive. Diablo 4 is coming to Game Pass. Woo! Very much. We get new hardware at the end of the year. Is that the cylindrical Brooklyn model, or is it maybe it's going to be something new?
Well, I think the chances are we could see Xbox Series S as a redesign. Well, not the redesign, but has better hardware in it and it's more environmentally sustainable. And I just feel that's likely to disappoint me because Xbox Series S is like the best version of Xbox so far because it's portable, you can play anywhere with it. And it's also like one of the favorites for like emulation too. But if I know it has like a 1 terabyte variant of it last year, but I just feel that if they were to shove all the innards of the Xbox Series X, put it into the Xbox Series S and have it output 4K, then this will be like ultimate Xbox for everyone. Like, do you remember like the Xbox One used to be like almost as big as the PlayStation 5 and then they just downscaled it to like Project Scorpio. Yeah, the
Xbox One. I have that still in my office. It's the big Xbox One that's like I can't even see. It's so big that I can't even fit it on the screen. There we go.
But what I mean is that the Project Scorpio turns out to be Xbox One X, and it is the best version of Xbox One. It's like downscales it and does 4K very, very well compared to like PS4 Pro, and I still have it, and it's still one of my favorite consoles because it's sleek, sophisticated, and gets the best out of the Xbox One games. But if Microsoft can like cram so much technology into it, then they should really like cram all the technologies of the Xbox Series X into the Xbox Series S casing. And this is what I'm really hoping for the most. But the only problem is that it doesn't come with a disk drive, and I feel this is like what's going to happen for Microsoft because according to Phil Spencer on the podcast, I mean, Microsoft already laid out the staff and they got rid of the little people who deal with the physical copies there. And what Phil Spencer said, he talked about digital preservation, and this seems to hint at as if like the next systems will now be like focusing on digital only. So expect the new hardware to come without any disk drives at all. And that is going to be frightening. Well, more like it's sad, but true. So,
I mean, honestly, most people play stuff digitally. And I feel like Game Pass is more of the system than Xbox at the moment. I think they're more interested in getting Game Pass subscribers than actual getting people to buy boxes and buy discs. I think they're more interested in people getting subscribed to their service, to be honest. But we'll see. They did again in this interview earlier when they were saying about Call of Duty. They also mentioned that they are still planning to release physical games for the foreseeable until until everyone's ready to move on. So we'll see. What else is there? Game Pass games will remain games will still come to Game Pass day one, which is
that's a good one.
News. People were worried that wasn't going to happen after this pivot, and they didn't. So that's great. And then when they are working on the new Xbox, the next gen, and they're saying it's going to be the biggest leap in technological history.
And you're thinking it will probably be the Xbox Switch edition, is it?
That's the rumor, though. It is they're going to have they're going to do the same as they did this generation, have a powerful system, but instead of having the S, a smaller, weaker system, they're going to have a handheld, which I'm totally down for. I want a handheld Xbox so bad, and that's why I'm tempted to buy the ROG Ally. But then I'm like, but if they release one in like a year's time, I'm going to feel gutted after buying the ROG Ally.
But it just makes me think, like, do you think that Microsoft would be clever enough if they did like the Xbox Series S version of the X as the Xbox X iteration, and then have Xbox Series S replaced with the handheld version?
That's what I think they're going to do. Yeah, well, that's the rumor.
That would be great.
I would love to see a handheld console. They want to compete with the Switch, and the Switch is kind of dominating the market with the handheld market and the handheld market at the moment. Apart from obviously you get all the Steam Deck and the ROG Ally and all that as well. But
it just makes me think
definitely a space for it.
But it does make me think, like, what if they're not competing against the Switch, but instead they're competing against Steam Deck as well as the Steam Deck and Asus Ally? Because, well, Asus Ally is more of a bestie with like Xbox, so they'll probably be going against the Steam Deck. But I just imagine
ROG Ally comes with 3 months of Game Pass, It does. They do want you to work with. They want essentially it's the handheld Xbox, but it's not officially a handheld Xbox yet. I would love a handheld Xbox that had like a soft a user interface that's like the Xbox. That's the only issue with the ROG Allies is literally a PC interface and it's impossible to negotiate because you don't have a keyboard and mouse. So you got to try and do that's what I've heard from reviews and stuff. Is like it's very difficult to navigate the menus and stuff because it's like a Windows 11 essentially on a handheld.
It just makes me thinking like Steam Deck. You have to buy a separate accessory to put it into the dock so you can play it on a TV. Mm-hmm. So I'm guessing that if Microsoft is going to make a handheld, that they'll probably be doing like they create this rival to the Steam Deck. They make it like an Asus ally, and which they could be working with Microsoft on that. But when they release it, it'll come with a dock as supplied. Preferable, so I think they're probably going to be doing with it. I guess.
I mean, the rumor is that the Surface team are actually making this handheld version. That's what they're saying at the moment. Sorry if the camera's messed up a bit. My leg just seized up, so I had to move.
And your green screen as well.
Yeah.
There we go. Fixed.
But yeah. Yeah, the rumor is the Xbox Surface or Windows Surface team are the ones making the new handheld version of the Xbox, which would be sick. If they announce a handheld Xbox, I'm buying one day one though for sure. I really want to get one a handheld. I really want to play like Persona 3 Reload on the toilet. It's got to be done.
Yes.
But yeah, no, it looks really cool. I'm hoping that that's going to be the case. So we're going to move on to our topic of the show.
And more exclusives at last.
More exclusive. That's what this is what the So, right. Earlier on in the episode, we mentioned the fact that Sony has no exclusive this year. Nintendo releasing their console next year. So Xbox, is this Xbox's year? Question mark. Is it Xbox's year? Possibly. Is this the year where we actually going to get a nomination for Game of the Year, for God's sake? We have 10 exclusives coming out for Xbox this year, according to Matt Booty. He said at least 10 plus. So, but he also includes Diablo DLC in that. So DLC also counts as exclusives, apparently. So,
you know, I think we just like turned into the laughing stock when... we said like we're expecting Starfield to be nominated for the Game of the Year, and then everyone's like, how would you be expecting this coming on like Game Awards? And this one is becoming the most controversial video on the channel. But then Starfield could have like had nominations, but it only got like a nomination for like the role-playing Game of the Year.
RPG, yeah. And I still stand by it was one of my favourite games of last year. I mean, Zelda won my Game of the Year, but if it wasn't for Zelda, it probably would have been my Game of the Year. I really enjoyed Starfield, and I'm really looking forward to playing it again when the DLC hits later this year.
But now we got more exclusives and more chances that we could win. But also remember that Nintendo games, as well as the third-party games on the PlayStation, could take the award too. I mean, the big threat is like the Final Fantasy VII Rebirth.
Yeah.
But then the trouble is, it's just like, did the original
Princess
win?
Peach as well.
Yeah, did the Final Fantasy remake won any awards of some sort?
I'm not sure. I know Final Fantasy VII remake won the Kind of Funny Game of the Year in 2017, and that was like a shocker that no one expected it to win, and it did. But I don't know about the Game Awards. It probably did win a load of awards, to be fair. Everyone's very excited for it. I was never really a Final Fantasy VII fan growing up. My cousins were super into it.
Yeah.
And they were like, oh, check this out. It's like the best game ever and all this stuff. It's like, okay, cool. I understand people love Final Fantasy VII. It's never really been my thing, to be perfectly honest. I've got Final Fantasy VII Remake ready to go and to try on my PS5, but I've never booted it up. I just ended up playing Persona or something instead. I'm more of a Persona Pokemon kind of person than Final Fantasy when it comes to JRPGs, personally.
Can I get can I buy your PlayStation 5 for £100?
No, I'm not selling it for £100. I'll sell it for. I might sell it for like 300. I'll give you some kind of discount, but I'm not stupid. Yeah, no, I want to like Final Fantasy, but it's never really appealed to me. But it might do well this year. Yeah, that might be the sleeper game of the year, the one that stops Xbox finally winning a Game of the Year award. But yeah, this year. So Matt Booty, as I previously said there are 10 exclusives, at least 10 first-party games coming out this year, right? So we know a couple of them. So should we start listing them? So he mentioned Diablo expansion, so apparently that counts. So
The
then we
DLCs.
have DLC counts apparently according to Matt Booty. So
Okay.
So we got a Diablo expansion. Then we got Hellblade 2,
Yes.
Aria History Untold.
Isn't that for exclusive to PC though, isn't it? Or is it Xbox
It's
as
an
well?
Xbox exclusive. It's first
Okay.
party is what you said. Avowed and Indiana Jones. So that's 5. Now we get into speculation time.
What about Starfield Shattered Space?
That's literally what I was just about to say. Starfield Shattered Space. Towerborn. That's supposed to be coming out this year.
Yep. It's coming out in March, I think. So
yeah. So okay. So that's 7.
so now we got like 3 more games to figure out.
I'm stuck. I'm sure. Oh, Call of Duty. We know Call of Duty Gulf War.
But then, isn't that the multi-platform game and not an Xbox exclusive?
Well, he said by first party.
Is it?
So,
but then,
what he said was 10 games made by first party coming out this year.
Well,
that might not be exclusive. So you're right. I don't know if that counts.
Because
my head hurts.
Do you remember, like, when? Did you read all this news that apparently Jim Ryan is like so worried of Call of Duty will be exclusive to Xbox, so they had to sign a contract that Call of Duty will be multi-platform for like 10 years. And you can still have like games like Crash Bandicoot and Spyro coming to Xbox. So you'll probably be expecting these more than like Call of Duty. The only thing that's like you could say first party with Call of Duty is the fact it will come out exclusively on like Game Pass, and that's one thing, but it's not really an Xbox exclusive, mind. Put that down.
I got a number 9.
Oh, what's the number 9 then?
Flight Simulator 2024.
That
has been announced. So that means that that's 9 games. Unless you don't count Call of Duty, then that's 8 games.
8 games.
8 games.
So what could be the 2 games then? Because I was kind of thinking Halo, but then what happened is 343 Industries, they're already aiming for the next Halo. And it will be a surprise if they were to announce it this year. That will come out this year as well. Because at the moment they're working on the next Halo game. They didn't specify what it could be, but they're already like sunsetting the Infinite multiplayer as they're moving to Unreal Engine. And it could be related to the Project Tanaka, which we thought it will be announced a few years ago, but it didn't.
Yeah.
So But it could be coming out on like 2025 or 2026 as they're trying to do only content updates for like Halo Infinite. So what's your thoughts on that?
Oh, possibly, yeah. Halo Tatanka might be a thing, yeah. I never thought of that. But also, if they count Shattered Space and they count Diablo, do they count Season 6 of Halo Infinite?
No, definitely not, because we're talking about big DLCs that add a lot of content to it. But if they're doing title updates to the game, then that shouldn't really count. So,
what about Elder Scrolls Online? Do they have an Elder Scrolls Online expansion this year?
No,
is there a Fallout 76 expansion?
Nah, probably not. But what I could feel is that the way they used to do the game called Everwild. They announced this game like a few years ago, and they didn't mention it since. So I think they might make a comeback with it and say, this one is coming out this year, so maybe that's possible.
Could we have the Gears of War Marcus Phoenix collection this year? That's been highly rumoured for years. Is that a possibility? So that maybe next year we get Gears of War 6, but we have the Marcus Phoenix collection this year to tide us over, and also to get people on PC into the franchise. Maybe that's something we get, possibly.
Well, that just brings us to like, it's not just about the exclusives. We also like have multi-platform games, which Phil Spencer has announced on the stream that there's going to be 4 games coming into the other platforms, and we already saw what the other 2 games could. Like, we got Grounded and Pentiment announced, but Hi-Fi Rush is being rumored,
highly rumored,
because of the leaks. And there's a lot of speculation that we could see Sea of Thieves coming to other platforms. So do you think this is the most likely thing that could happen? Or are we going to likely to expect Gears of War and Halo to come to the other platforms as well?
I hope not. I'm thinking it's those 4 that we said. They're not necessarily going to be the last 4 games that come over. I'm sure that they might do more games.
They might probably trial this for only 1 year, and then next year that... If it proves to be successful, then they bring out more games to other platforms. Yeah. But I think because they're now like picking out lesser known games like Grounded and Pentiment, I think it's quite likely they only like bring out other Xbox games to other systems and not like huge things like Halo or even Gears of War. So
I hope not.
But I think Sony ponies are like going mad about these games. But I mean, what about like Resistance? What about Killzone? Or what about even like Uncharted? Why don't you like spend your energy and ask Sony to create these games instead of like asking for Halo to come over them? Not like
stop begging you ponies.
But then, never mind. Apparently, Sony's not going to make any major franchise games until 2015. So, oh well. But
2025 are going to suck.
But it's still crazy that people, ever since there's rumors there, I think they're just going mad about like Halo and Gears of War coming to PlayStation 5, when obviously it's going to be focusing on like smaller Xbox games. Yeah. And to be honest, I don't have a problem with like Grounded, and potentially Sea of Thieves and Hi-Fi Rush coming to other platforms. Because to be honest, I think all of them could be coming over to the Nintendo Switch, which we're totally fine with. But then seeing them on the PlayStation 5, for instance, it's definitely not out of question. We could see them on the Sony's platform, so who knows?
So it's funny because like King David from Iron Lord's just hilarious. It's just like, these are your 4. We're gonna be charitable. We're gonna give you these 4 games and 4 stimulus packages for the year. Keep you going, keep you alive. Because you got nothing on your system.
Well, you know,
laugh.
An ideal world is just like PlayStation getting the cream of the crop and just like get Wise, WeCore, Blinks, and even Redfall as well. Redfall.
Yeah, Redfall should definitely be. You should definitely have Redfall, guys. We'll give you that. That's not a problem.
But what if we're correct, except for 2 games? So, like, Grounded and Pentiment has already been announced for the Switch. But if Microsoft were to listen to us and like, okay, let's release 2 of those games out. So, would you reckon to out of these 4 games that would probably dare just to piss off like Sony fanboys? Redfall
for sure, and Blinks, I guess, out of those 4, because Rise is actually not a bad game. To be fair, it's actually all right. It's not terrible anyway. I think it gets a bad rap. It's a fairly fun game. We'll see. Yeah. So we got to 9 games on our list. Can we figure out what this 10th one's going to be on the 10 Xbox exclusives coming this year?
Battletoads.
Battletoads. Yeah, why not? Why not Battletoads? Thanks for watching. Until next time. No, can you imagine that was like the way you ended the episode? Battletoads. Yeah. Well, we already had a remake of Battletoads. Maybe it's the Banjo-Kazooie remake that people will be rumored.
That would be great.
Or like sequel.
We could see it happening from like Xbox, but who knows? But it could well be also Crash Bandicoot or even like Spyro instead. So.
Yeah. Also, there was in that leak we had rumored Oblivion and Fallout 3 remasters,
Oh,
didn't we?
of
So
course.
maybe it might be one of those.
I didn't know about those things. Yeah, that would be great to see Fallout 3 or Elder Scrolls 4 Oblivion being remade and released on the Xbox. But it would even be better if we have New Vegas remake and just being brought over to Xbox. That would be a great exclusive.
I think the only thing with me is I like the idea of having an Oblivion remake, but the problem is Obsidian, here, see, I did tie it back, are releasing Avowed this year, so having Avowed and Oblivion remake coming out in the same year seems a bit like overkill, and they kind of like stepping over each other. Fantasy RPGs, I feel like you need Oblivion to come out next year, really. So I think Fallout 3 makes the most sense.
But
where's the Fallout 4 remaster that they've been talking about for about a year?
I think we could get a Fallout 4 remake that has all the DLC, but it will be like the anniversary edition of like Skyrim. Like, they just come shipped with a lot of mods. I would recommend they will come with all the mods, including the mod that gives you Starfield in like Fallout 4, just like the way that it's always been.
All right, that's a troll, lads. Okay, we be trolling. What would be cool is if you did it in reverse, and basically you're playing Starfield and you fly around and you could go to Earth and find like the maps in Fallout 4 and actually land on Earth and go into Fallout 4. That'd be pretty cool.
Yeah, that would be really interesting.
But yeah, no, I really want to play Fallout 4 properly. I played it a little bit when it first came out, but I've been waiting for this remaster. I say remaster, it's like a port. They're going to be bringing it to next-gen consoles, and they said they were going to do it last year, and we're in February, nearly in March. Where is it? Bethesda, where is Fallout 4 remastered or remake or reboot or
you just have to wait 4 more months for them to fix all the bugs out, and then they can safely bring out the expansion pack. Like, do you remember like when Halo Infinite came out with the multiplayer and they're going to bring out more content, but then they have to delay everything because they had to keep dealing with the bugs that come with the game?
Yeah, yeah. I enjoy Halo Infinite, and I enjoyed it from the launch, but they did have problems at the beginning. Yeah, I must say. But yeah, what you guys think are the 10 games? I would love to hear what you think. I think So should we just? So it's the. Okay, let's just go through it again. Avowed, Aria History Untold, Indiana Jones, Hellblade 2, Diablo expansions, Starfield, Shattered Space, for Flight Simulator 2024, Towerborn. And then maybe Call of Duty.
And maybe Fallout 4 in space. Maybe.
In space. Maybe Fallout 4 space, yeah. Maybe Fallout 3 remaster, maybe Oblivion remaster, maybe Gears of War, Marcus Phoenix remaster. Wow. Maybe Halo DLC, maybe Halo expansion. Who knows? There's so much stuff that could come out this year. This year is insane. And we know that they also mentioned in the podcast that there is going to be a June showcase. We will be having another E3 type conference from Xbox in June when they're going to be announcing some more games. I'm very excited to see what's on the horizon. Ooh. Xbox is killing it this year. This is Xbox's year. I'm calling it right now. It has to be. If they don't win a game award this year, then it is Xbox tax, and Xbox tax is real. There's no other way of
well, there's Xbox tax, and there's the water making the freaking frogs gay.
Water making the frogs. That's such a random reference, Alice. Okay. The water makes the frogs gay. And on that note, we'll be ending the podcast.
Now, I'm going to give you a last question. So,
ready? Yes, it's now Alice's final question.
So,
go on then.
Exactly 30 years ago, we have Sonic 3 that came out on the Mega Drive. But what's happened in the same month is you have Castlevania, the new generation, which is also known as Castlevania Bloodlines. Don't know if you heard of it, but it is like a more mature level Castlevania that for the first time that it used to came out on the Nintendo systems. I don't know about the TurboGrafx one, but it's the first Castlevania game to appear on the rival system. And so followed the bunch of Konami, Capcom, and even a few other games that used to be made by developers and publishers who work exclusively on the Nintendo Entertainment System, and that includes the Street Fighter and Mega Man. So the question I'll ask you is that if you can remember that you were like around in the early 90s and you saw like you thought Capcom games will be on Super Nintendo, only to realize it comes out on the Mega Drive, how would you have felt if the games that were once exclusive to Nintendo are appearing on the Mega Drive?
Right, okay. So I was 4 at that point. I was like, why Mario on Sonic? Why Mario on Sonic Control? I don't know.
Well, it did happen in the early 2000s, though.
Yeah. So if we're saying, basically what we're saying is, if we like everyone's been saying is that Xbox is going third party, blah blah blah. If we were 20, 30 years ago, we were doing a podcast, and it's like, yo, Nintendo's releasing their games on the Sega Mega Drive. What the hell? Nintendo is dead. There's no future for Nintendo after the Super Nintendo. That's not even their final console. There's no exclusives for Nintendo anymore. What's going on? Yeah. I mean, it's weird to think the history repeats itself, I guess. I think I'd probably be just as heated back then because I was a Nintendo fanboy before I was an Xbox fanboy. So I probably would be the same kind of attitude I got now.
Well, I think it did actually happen only much later in like early 2000s. Like it used to be Dreamcast and you got games there. Yeah. And it turns out Sega's been like giving out Crazy Taxi, Headhunter over to the PlayStation systems before they got rid of the game Dreamcast, and then they put Sonic on like Game Boy Advance and the GameCube, which means you get Sega games on Nintendo systems. So, I mean, did you remember like that, and remember how you felt when Sonic appears on, say, the Nintendo GameCube?
Nope. Well, no, I remember feeling weird to see the Sonic finally jumped over to Nintendo. Yeah, that was very strange that we got to see Sonic games on the Nintendo console. I was like, what the hell is this? This is weird. But yeah, like Sega, you talking about Sega history is interesting because it makes me realize that Sega kind of they have their favorites, don't they? Like they went over, like they were friendly with Nintendo, and then they were friendly with Sony, and now they're kind of friendly with us, Sega. With the Xbox team, they have their favorites. They seem to like to team up with people. Yeah, interesting. I don't really remember it too well. I remember it feeling weird and like, what the hell? Sonic is the final character you can unlock in Super Smash Bros. Brawl. What? Sonic's in this game? Like, I remember that being weird. But now I'm kind of used to it.
But lots of gamers have been demanding Sonic to appear on like Super Smash Brothers, and they got their answer though, so that's crazy. Yeah,
I know. I remember that being such a big deal when it happened in Brawl. It's just to say Brawl was shit when it comes to the tripping and stuff.
Yeah,
but yeah, I don't know if I was like I am now. 20 years ago, I'd probably freak out more. But when I was a kid, I didn't really know what was going on in the game industry to that kind of detail. I was always a Nintendo kid anyway, and I was never that bothered about playing Sonic. Always thought it was weird when Sonic came to GameCube and stuff, but I never really put too much thought into it, I don't think.
To me, when I was like obsessed with Sega, and I was really close to getting the PlayStation and Nintendo, but I think it's just like when I checked out Zelda and Mario, yeah, it's cool. I mean, I got a Super Nintendo when I was like 7, and then when I get to play Pokemon, I was like obsessed with Nintendo stuff, which is why I'm not really that upset when Sonic came over to Nintendo consoles. I just felt like, well, Sega kind of falls off the mark, and it's just disappointing, but it's all right. I mean, some of the people I met in college just said like, Sega's like bankrupt. Well, no, you still have like games coming out for the other systems, but unfortunately, like when they made new games from Sega to, like, say, PlayStation 2, like Golden Axe or even, like, Shinobi. I mean, some of the games are okay, but they kept releasing bad games that are coming out on PlayStation 2 and, like, GameCube. And that's just when Sega just fell off the mark. Like, I think they made a lot of bad business decisions, really. Also, I just kind of regretted about, like, not getting the PlayStation instead of Saturn, because that would have been such fire or some sort. But I still played some of the PlayStation games on PC back then, so...
That's fair enough. Yeah, I mean, I like Sega. Sega's great. As I said, Sega should be bought by Xbox, and they should have done it yesterday, as far as I'm concerned. What do you guys think? Let us know in the comments below. Were you around for the Nintendo turning on their fans and betraying them and joining Sega? I don't know. Let us know in the comments below. What do you think? And also let us know what you think the 10 games are coming to Xbox this year. 10 Game Plus. Interesting. What do you think? Let us know in the comments below.
So,
anything else you wanted to do today?
Nah, just had a good episode. So, thanks for listening.
It's nice to catch up with you, Alice. We'll hopefully do another podcast soon. We're not sure how frequently we're going to do this. We'd like to do it weekly, but it's just very difficult with our lives and the way it is. So probably maybe fortnightly if we're lucky, or maybe monthly. We'll try and keep, but we're going to keep having content coming to the channel at all times.
I think to me that I would prefer to do it monthly, but if there's like any huge news with Xbox, I mean, this stuff about multi-platform stuff has definitely got us talking, and we definitely and it definitely warranted for another episode. So yeah, it's kind of cool. So it just shows like we're still alive and kicking with this whole thing. But if there's anything like huge, then we'll probably most likely have another podcast episode early. But apart from that, we could be having it like every month. But it's likely to be always topical and not like dealing with lots of random subjects. So yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Thank you guys for watching. We really appreciate it. And until next time.
Take care. Bye.
Bye. Thank you for listening to the X Marks the Box podcast. Follow us at X Marks Box on Twitter or X Marks the Box on YouTube. And follow us on all audio podcast services. Thanks for listening.